Stegosaurus. One of the strangest shapes the Jurassic period ever produced. Stegosaurus looked like a walking toolbox of plates and spikes. The big plates on its back were not armor. They were full of blood vessels and worked like heaters or coolers, helping the animal control its temperature. They probably also helped with signaling. A Stegosaurus could blush with its entire back, and that tail weapon, the thagomizer, was not just impressive. Scientists found an Allosaurus vertebra with a perfect puncture wound that matches a Stegosaurus spike. The brain was small, but the animal wasn't stupid. It had large nerve centers down its spine that handled most of the work. Most of its day was slow feeding on low plants, saving energy for when the tail was needed. Brachiosaurus. The skyscraper of the Jurassic period. As tall as a 4-story building, Brachiosaurus used its long neck and front leg-heavy posture to reach leaves other dinosaurs couldn't touch. Its peg-like teeth were made for grabbing branches and ripping off needles and fronds, not for chewing. Food went straight into a massive stomach where microbes finished the job. Some scientists think it could even rear up briefly to reach higher branches, turning its whole body into a living crane. The warm, plant-rich Jurassic world suited it perfectly. If evolution ever had a no-size limit phase, this was it. A giraffe redesigned by someone who didn't know when to stop. The Jurassic period was designed for giants. Warm climate, high oxygen, endless forests. Big animals could stay active longer and eat all day without running out of plants. Conifers, cycads, and ginkgos covered the landscape. Predators existed, but they were not as specialized as the killers that appeared later. If you visited the Jurassic period, the first thing you'd notice wouldn't be the dinosaurs. It would be the scale. Everything was oversized. Allosaurus, the top predator of the Jurassic period. 8 to 12 meters long, powerful but surprisingly agile. Allosaurus didn't kill the way crocodiles do. Its jaws and neck were built for quick, repeated slashing strikes. It used its head like a hatchet, biting and pulling back to tear flesh. With good depth perception and a flexible spine, it could pivot sharply to chase prey or dodge attacks. Fossils suggest it went after Stegosaurus, young sauropods, and whatever else seemed slow or distracted. If Jurassic Park stuck to real history, Allosaurus would have been the main villain in half the movies. Archaeopteryx. A fossil snapshot halfway between dinosaur and bird. About the size of a crow, Archaeopteryx had modern-looking flight feathers but also teeth, claws on its wings, and a long, bony tail. It probably lived in forested areas, jumping between branches and making short, frantic flights to catch insects and small reptiles. Its flying style was clumsy, more like powered jumps than smooth gliding. Think of it as the beta version of birds, not polished but clearly on the right track. Before we enter the Cretaceous period, here's a quick reality check. Dinosaurs ruled Earth for about 165 million years. Modern humans have existed for around 300,000. If the age of dinosaurs was the distance from Los Angeles to Tokyo, all of human history would be the airport drop-off zone. That's the difference. Now let's move into their final age. The Cretaceous period. Spinosaurus. A strange predator from the earlier part of the Cretaceous period. It reached up to 15 meters long and had a long, narrow snout full of conical teeth, perfect for grabbing fish. Fossils show fish bones and scales in its stomach area, proving it hunted in rivers and shallow coastal waters. Its tall sail may have helped regulate temperature or been used to impress rivals. Its bones were dense, like those of diving animals, suggesting it spent a lot of time in the water. On land it was slow, but in the shallows it had the home field advantage. Think of it as a crocodile with ambition. Velociraptor. Small, feathered, and way too confident for its size. Real velociraptors were about as tall as a big turkey and lived in dry environments during the late Cretaceous period. They hunted small animals and sometimes scavenged bigger kills. Their famous sickle claw was used to pin prey, not slice it open like in the movies. A famous fossil shows a velociraptor and a protoceratops locked together in combat, frozen mid-fight for tens of millions of years. Velociraptor was also fully feathered, not for flying, but for warmth, display, and for making itself look just a little bigger to competitors. Basically early dinosaur fashion, just with survival benefits. Their brains were relatively large, giving them fast reactions and sharp senses. Hollywood upsized them, but the real version was still a problem you didn't want to meet. By the late Cretaceous period, Earth had a combination of warm temperatures, high sea levels, and stable climates. This allowed ecosystems to grow more complex, which pushed animals into specialized roles. Herbivores evolved heavier armor and bigger horns because predators kept getting stronger. Predators evolved stronger bites and better senses because herbivores were harder to kill. It became an evolutionary arms race. That's why the last part of the dinosaur era produced so many extreme body designs. Triceratops, the horned heavyweight of the late Cretaceous period. About 9 meters long, as heavy as a large truck, and built like a biological tank. Triceratops lived in herds and fed on tough plants like palms and cycads. Its sharp beak sliced vegetation, while rows of teeth inside the mouth worked like a shredding machine. The big frill was full of sinuses and blood vessels and probably helped with heat control and communication. Fossils show healed holes shaped like other Triceratops horns, proving that males sometimes fought each other. Against predators, the horns were deadly. A well-aimed charge could end a hunt instantly. Ankylosaurus, a walking tank with a tail that doubled as a wrecking ball. Ankylosaurus was low to the ground and covered in thick bony armor from head to tail. Even its eyelids had protection. The tail club could deliver more than enough force to break bones, even the legs of a large predator. Ankylosaurus ate low plants and relied on its armor instead of speed. If a predator approached from behind, the tail came around fast enough to make anything rethink its life choices. Chasing one was useless. You just picked a different target. Tyrannosaurus Rex. The main event. T-Rex lived at the very end of the Cretaceous period and stood around 12 meters long. Its bite was strong enough to crush bone, and it left bite marks on fossils that prove it did exactly that. It hunted large herbivores like Triceratops and Edmontosaurus, but also scavenged when it had the chance. It had an excellent sense of smell, forward-facing eyes for depth perception, and legs powerful enough to move its huge body steadily forward. The short arms looked funny, but they were strong stabilizers during feeding. T-Rex wasn't fast, but it didn't need to be. It was a predator built to finish what it started. These creatures ruled a world far older and stranger than ours, each one shaped by millions of years of pressure, luck, and change. Stay curious. See you in the next one.